New cases of the virus were reported in Oregon, Rhode Island, Washington State, New York, and Florida yesterday, bringing the U.S. total to 89 this Monday morning, March 2, 2020. Schools are closed for cleaning this week in Seattle, Portland, and Rhode Island. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Washington Governor Inslee declared a state of emergency. For the Heart and Home podcast, I'm Sabah Fakuri. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how I found out about this. It's free. It's on your app store. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right now from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Please, I urge you, don't waste another minute. I wasted 3 years. I attended all kinds of events to learn all the steps. I was so confused, and it was right here. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Do it now. Both New York and Florida reported their first novel coronavirus cases yesterday. And in Washington State, the second death in the United States from the outbreak was reported. The New York patient is a woman in her late 30s who is now isolated in her Manhattan home. She has non-serious respiratory issues after contracting the virus while traveling in Iran. In Washington State, the second U.S. coronavirus death was a man in his 70s who died at Evergreen Health in Kirkland. Officials are also investigating 50 residents at the Life Care Center nursing facility in that same city. Additionally, 25 firefighters and 2 police officers who responded to the Life Care Center have now been placed under quarantine, just as a precaution. Lake Washington Institute of Technology is also closed today and tomorrow, so the campus can be disinfected because last week, 16 nursing students and a faculty member visited the Life Care Center, and they were exposed to the virus. Washington State now has a total of 13 cases, 10 in King County, where the 2 deaths occurred, and 3 in nearby Snohomish County. The New York Times reported yesterday that up to 1,500 people might actually be infected in that state because the virus was around for several weeks before people knew about it. In California, we also have new cases there. 5 cases were identified. 2 are healthcare workers from Alameda County and Solano County who work at the North Bay Vacca Valley Hospital in Vacaville, which is about 34 miles southwest of Sacramento. Both healthcare workers were exposed to a patient at UC Davis in Sacramento, where more than 120 UC Davis healthcare staff were on self-quarantine after possibly being exposed to the patient admitted to the medical center last week. The Rhode Island Department of Health announced that state's first case yesterday morning. An adult female patient in her 40s had traveled to Europe in mid-February that included the country of Italy. Later that afternoon, Rhode Island reported a second case, a teenage girl with mild symptoms who was on that same overseas trip. And disturbing news from Texas. At Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, a Wuhan evacuee, which is that center of the virus outbreak in China, who had twice tested negative for the coronavirus and was released under the CDC, which is the Center for U.S. Control and Prevention, is now back in quarantine after a subsequent test came back positive. It's not clear why they did the other test. It just, at this point, they just also is not clear is how they're going to handle those people that have been under federal quarantine, because today ends the period for the Americans who were evacuated from that Diamond Princess cruise ship that came in from Japan. Among the U.S. cases are 44 people who were aboard the Diamond Princess cruise ship, 3 people who were repatriated from China, and 42 cases that were detected in the United States. At least 19 cases in the U.S. are travel-related, and at least 19 are linked in person-to-person spread, according to the CDC. 4, we don't know where their origin is from. Overseas this morning, European Union Disease Prevention Agency raised the risk level from moderate to high and launched a coronavirus response team to stem the spread of the disease across Europe, as the World Health Organization was sending its first aircraft to Iran to help fight the coronavirus there. An Iranian senior official, Mohammad Mohammadi, is among 66 coronavirus deaths in the Islamic Republic. Most are from the capital city of Tehran and the city of Qom. Israel's health ministry is urging citizens to vote in today's parliamentary elections, where there are 5,630 people quarantined in that country. Of those quarantined who want to vote, they must wear masks and gloves and use 16 dedicated polling stations, where paramedics are seen in head-to-toe protective gear guarding the tents across the country. So far, 10 Israelis have tested positive for the virus. In France, the Louvre Museum in Paris remains closed for the second day after staff refused to work over coronavirus fears. I noted in yesterday's podcast that the museum was closed for a meeting. However, it did not reopen and left lines snaked outside, and people just gave up after hours of waiting. In South Korea, Lee Man-hee, 88, the founder and leader of the Shincheonji Church of Jesus, and 12 of his followers are facing criminal charges, including murder. They are being accused of obstructing efforts to contain the outbreak by withholding the names of church members who may have been infected with the virus. Officials say the church members are responsible for 60% of South Korea's nearly 4,000 virus cases. The church leader got on his knees and bowed at a news conference, apologizing for the virus outbreak in the southern city of Daegu. In the capital, Seoul, the mayor urged the city's 10 million residents to work from home and to avoid crowded places. Meanwhile, nationwide, the new school semester is now postponed in South Korea until March 23. And schools in many countries, from Lebanon to Italy, are also closed for cleaning. In lighter news, USA Today reports McDonald's announced its first ever National Egg McMuffin Day today. It's the same day that Wendy's is launching its breakfast menu nationwide. However, today, McDonald's is giving the breakfast sandwich away for free at participating locations from 6 to 10:30 a.m. local time, which is normally when the breakfast menu is open. You don't have to make a purchase. All you have to do to get the freebie is to download the McDonald's app and register an account. Also today, it's Read Across America Day and Dr. Seuss's birthday.
And In Massachusetts, March 1904, we met someone like we've never seen before. You may know him as Geisel or Theodore or Ted, or maybe you call him Doctor instead. Whatever name you choose, I'm happy to say a literary legacy was born on that day. If you haven't figured it out yet, silly goose, I'm actually talking about Dr. Seuss. Through his artful words with stanzas and rhyme, he made lovely characters with lessons for a lifetime. Thanks for your help teaching children to read. Happy birthday, Dr. Seuss. We'll never forget you. Godspeed.
Speaking of books, now I haven't read this book, but someone on Twitter posted images of a book called The Eyes of Darkness. It's a thriller novel by the American writer Dean Koontz that was released in 1981. The book focuses on a mother who sets out on a quest to find out if her son truly did die, and whether he's still alive. In this book, there is mention. This is so eerie. It says that I'm not interested in the philosophy or morality of biological warfare. Right now, I just want to know how the hell Danny wound up in this place. To understand that, you have to go back 20 months. It was around then that a Chinese scientist named Li Chen defected to the United States, carrying a diskette record of China's most important and dangerous new biological weapon in a decade. They call the stuff, quote, Wuhan 400, because it was developed at their rDNA labs outside of the city of Wuhan. And it was the 400th vial strain of man-made microorganisms created at that research center. The book goes on to say Wuhan 400 is a perfect weapon. It afflicts only human beings. No other living creature can carry it. And like syphilis, Wuhan 400 can't survive outside a living human body for longer than a minute, which means it can't permanently contaminate objects or entire places the way anthrax and other virulent microorganisms can. And when the host expires, the Wuhan 400 within him perishes a short while later, as soon as the temperature of the corpse drops below 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you see the advantage of all of this? I just can't believe this. Then the Twitter post also mentioned that in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. This in a 1981 book? For the Heart and Home podcast, I'm Sabah Fakuri. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow on Super Tuesday.